Eric Schulz is a professor of marketing here at Utah State University. He got his degrees from another school down south that has another color of blue, but we'll forgive him for that, for many years of dedicated service here at Utah State. He has a very impressive background in marketing. He's worked with world-class companies, Procter & Gamble, Coca-Cola, amongst other companies. He's also had a long career here in Utah working for excellent organizations such as the Miller Group, where he was the head of marketing for the sports and entertainment group of the Larry H. Miller Group of companies. Amongst other things, he was my professor about 6 years ago, and I do have one story that I need to share that demonstrates Professor Schulz's passion for marketing. So I remember he was talking about generic brands versus a normal brand that you would see in a store. And he was really passionate that generic brands marketing is generally just really poor. And to emphasize this point, I can't remember the exact scenario, but I do have it engraved in my head that he actually grabbed a desk and shook it while yelling and almost Bobby Knighted the desk across the room. But I truly have a vivid memory of that. But an excellent professor, a great class that I took here at Utah State, was also awarded the Teacher of the Year this past year at Utah State. So please welcome Eric Schulz.
Where did the clicker go? There it is. Okay, thank you. All right, so today they asked me to talk about digital marketing. And there's nothing in the world that makes you feel old really fast as when you start getting into this digital marketing stuff. It's bizarre. And for a little while, I kind of ignored it because it wasn't big enough. And then all of a sudden, these darn smartphones showed up everywhere. And that changed everything. The smartphone's only 10 years old. And it didn't really have enough power or enough influence until really about 5 years ago. But in the last 5 years, now everything goes through mobile. So, just for example, if you look at the internet penetration of 4 billion people in the world, and you look at the mobile penetration, 5.1 billion, it's huge. It's huge. 80% of all internet traffic, all web traffic, is now driven through mobile phones. Nobody sits down and looks at the computer anymore. We used to all have very planned things where we go and we sit down and we do our things on the computer. If we had a question, we have to remember it and go back and answer it. Now, you just pull the phone out of your pocket and you seek the answer. The average millennial, the students in the building here, they touch their phones, they look at their phones 147 times a day. That's crazy. So it's small bit interactions is what they're doing. Back in the old days, we only had a few choices on how we were going to go to market, so it was pretty easy to do. But now we've got this whole digital marketing thing, and okay, I got one thing I got to admit to you. If anybody ever walks up and says to you, I'm an expert in digital marketing, they're lying. They are not telling the truth because there ain't nobody on earth that knows all of these things. There's like 29 different iterations of different types of digital marketing, and nobody's an expert in all of them. You'd have to have like 12 PhDs to figure it all out. So that's the key here. Everybody keeps thinking, well, digital has taken over the world, and it has, but it's not a battle between digital and traditional. It's how do you make the two of them work together in unison. You can't have just a digital marketing strategy or you'll fail. And you can't have just a traditional marketing strategy anymore or you'll fail. You'd have to be able to use both platforms. Global ad spending, $237 billion on digital last year. That's the first year that digital ad spending has outstripped traditional. That train has left the station, and it's not coming back. But, again, TV is still relevant. Print, still relevant. Billboard, still relevant. We get our reach. You know, marketing is measured, your media plan is measured in what we call gross rating points, which is just multiplying the percent of the reach, the percent of customers that you reach, times the frequency. How often do they get it? How often do they see it? And so you need the traditional to get the reach. And then you use the digital to kind of hone in on your targets. Because the advantage that digital has is that when somebody does something online and there was a really freaky 60-minute story that was done about a year ago, where they went to this place in Washington that there was this nondescript black box building that does all the internet stuff. And they pulled up a website, and they had a screen that showed all the different companies that were hanging out on the side watching what you did. And there were and no matter what website page that the 60-minute reporter went to, there's like 40 different companies that are sitting out on the side watching what you do. Well, that's kind of creepy, but it's also kind of good, because if you've looked for a hotel room in Las Vegas, now every ad that shows up for you for the next week is going to be hotel rooms in Las Vegas. So that's kind of cool, but it's also kind of creepy. And so, you know, as you know, display advertising, as you use digital advertising, it kind of falls into these buckets. You've got traditional search. So, you know, I spend money, and when somebody goes on Google, you know, you buy the ad that pops up to the top of the search. That's a way of doing it, and that's a pretty good way of doing it. Then you've got what we called programmatic. Walled gardens. Walled gardens are the big companies that control their own advertising. You buy their advertising through them, through Facebook, through Pinterest, through Twitter. And then you've got open programmatic, and those are the companies that are sitting out on the sides watching what you do so that they can target the ads to you effectively. And then you've got direct buy ads, which would be like KSL.com, where you just do your purchase directly through KSL. So the walled gardens, Facebook is the king. Facebook and YouTube. Now, Facebook is better for older folks. You know, moms and dads now are the masters of Facebooks. It ain't the kids. They have it there, but they don't post anything on it because they don't want you to see what they're doing. They are on Instagram, where you aren't. They're on other platforms. But the cool thing about the walled gardens, and YouTube especially, you know, kids don't want to read. They don't want to read. You know, if you've got a high schooler, you know it. My high school senior has no books. I don't get it. That's so far out of my realm of thinking. How could you go through high school and not have a book? But they do. And so, but they love friggin' YouTube. They love YouTube. They want to answer something that they don't Google it. They just go to YouTube and watch a video. And so YouTube becomes a really important platform going forward, especially if you're trying to get to the millennials and the Gen X. So when you interact with these digital platforms, there's two ways you can do so. You can do it through what we call reservations, where you're just buying a bunch of ads. You know, it's not dissimilar to television. You just say, okay, I want to buy 5,000 ads, and they charge you a price for that, usually in the $6 to $9 range, depending upon the targeting. And they just deliver it. And they have all these websites out there that they deliver it to, and you know, you get it. Now, the good thing about it is you get the deliverable. The downside is if you get in the middle of it and you go, oh crap, this isn't working, you can't change it. So you just have to let it run its course and then buy another set. With the walled gardens, the Facebooks, the Pinterests, the Twitters, you know, you can change things midstream if you see something not working. So that's kind of cool. But again, you run a risk of under-delivery if you don't have the right messaging. So this ecosystem, we're going to use Pinterest as an example here. So you want to advertise your products. Pinterest then takes your products and puts it into their mix so that your dresses show up on their spring sale. And then, somebody looks at it, buys it, and you get your money back. And so that's kind of how the ecosystem works. And these auctions that they have, again, this is one of these things that you don't know till you don't know. The way that you get your ads placed on the Facebooks, the Pinterest, the Instagrams, is you bid. It's an auction. It's a live auction that goes on all day long. So you go into the platform and you say, okay, I'm willing to pay $2 per click. And then they go through a scenario. So here's how this would work in a live auction. So let's say you've got a dress that you want to put on Pinterest. And we've got 3 different companies that are all vying for the same ad spot. So it's going to go there. It's going to go there on the spring dress search. But, there's only room for one. So how are they going to select which one to put in there? So Pinterest is going to look at it and then say, okay, so, here's the designs, great. H&M bids $1.15 for the click. And Nordstrom's bids $1.09, and the Gap bids $1.30. So, okay, so you would think, well, Gap wins. Not necessarily. Because what they do is they then estimate through their algorithms what the click-through rate is going to be on each of those dresses. They use their aggregated knowledge, they run it through their AI base, and then they say, okay, we estimate what the click-through rate's going to be. So then they say, okay, well, who's going to win this auction? They take the bid price times the predicted performance to come up with an expected value. And in this case, Gap, bidding $1.09, ends up winning because their expected value of each click is 55 cents versus a lower rate on the other two, even though the actual click price was higher for the other two. So one of the things, the advantages that people claim to have for digital is that, well, I know that the purchase was made. Nah, that's not true either. Because on average, a person goes through 8 or 9 different places online before they make the purchase. They might have seen the dress on Pinterest, and then they go straight to the website for H&M. And then they might wander into a store, or then they might be thinking about it, and then the ad pops up on Facebook. And it takes a while. It's not instantaneous. You can't put ads online and go, okay, my day's over, everybody's going to start buying now, because sometimes it takes 2 or 3 weeks for them to go through all these different iterations. So, at the beginning of your advertising cycle, you want to get reach. You want to get a whole bunch of people, and then hopefully they'll raise their hand by clicking on it somewhere, and then you go, aha, I got you. And now you start hitting them with all the follow-up ads to get it down to ultimately making a purchase. Trends you need to know about. The purchase journey for everyone now starts online. We don't go to the store to say, okay, what are we going to get for Auntie B's birthday? We start online looking for that stuff. The good thing about being online and having a strong online presence is it's there 24/7. It works all day and all night. When a customer does a local search, half of them will go into the business that day. That's huge. I know of no marketing tactic on earth that can get half of the people who find me online to walk into my store that day. So if you don't show up in the local search, then number 4 applies. If a customer doesn't know you exist, there's a 100% probability they won't come into your store. So it's really important to have a strong presence so that when somebody says cafe near me, you pop up is the number 1 thing. So I've got a few recommendations for you. Number one, if you haven't done any Google or Facebook advertising, get involved. Just call them. They have advisors that will help you walk through this process. It's really not that hard, and they will help you. And you can limit the amount of money exposure you've got, so you're not like stuck on there. You can just say, okay, I only want to spend $100 a week, and then they'll help you place that $100 a week, and so you don't end up owing them tens of millions of dollars at the end of a month. And the second thing is develop a strong YouTube presence, because as the millennials and the Gen Z become more and more affluent, they are going to not change their patterns. They're going to keep looking at YouTube. So make sure you've got a strong YouTube presence. Make sure that you've got videos there that are short. The average video length has to be under 90 seconds. 90 seconds is about what they found is about as long as people will stay engaged. So make sure you do that. And then Forrester, I thought, had a really good quote. 1 minute of video is equal to 1.8 million words. So that's pretty powerful. And then social media, if you're going to promote yourself through social media, the number one reason why people interact with brands on social media is not to learn about the wonders of Samsung. They don't go there looking for information. These are entertainment platforms. So you've got to be in the realm. And what they respond to is deals. Give me a discount, give me a sale, tell me about an offer, make a disappearing offers, things at limited time. You can only get this until 5 o'clock tonight. Those are the kinds of offers that people will respond to because there's an immediacy to them. And so make sure that you're using those kinds of tactics when you go online. Thanks.